During this project, we are going to go from 19 old, well-used cabinet doors to 19 new, homemade shaker panel doors for under $1,000. I'm going to share with you the processes that worked and where I messed up, so hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. Welcome to Measured Ground. If your cabinets look anything like ours, peeling, falling apart, you probably asked the question about replacing them. But here's the problem. When you look at cabinets can turn into countertops, which potentially turns into flooring, new sink. A short, quick project turns into a $20,000, $30,000 endeavor. And that wasn't really an option for us. We have bigger plans, bigger dreams that we're looking forward to. And so we asked the question, well, what if we just did it ourselves? All good projects start with a plan, even if it's not a great one. My original plan, simply copy the old doors with the plywood and then knock it out in a weekend. But the reality was that didn't really happen. If there's one thing I'd tell you up front, everything will take longer and cost more than you probably expect. And I would encourage you to build margin into your time and your budget. So as you can see here, after I came up with a game plan, I recruited a little help instead of removing the doors. At first, I labeled each door because I was going to simply copy what was already there. I love being able to work with my family. And yes, sometimes it does make the project take longer. But in the end, the long-term benefit of building into your family is totally worth it. And after getting motivated from removing the doors, it was time to go to the store. I started laying out and measuring the original doors to get ready to rough cut for my new doors. The plan after rough cutting my panels was to router out the edges, sand and stain, install hardware, and simply reinstall. I bought the wrong thickness of oak veneer plywood, and it was because I went on an assumption. My original cabinet doors were actually 3/4 inch thick, and not the 1/2 inch thick plywood that I thought it would be. So again, back to the store. I made a test door using the plywood I bought, thinking I could save a trip to the store, but in the end, decided to go all in with the shaker panel doors. Since I didn't have the right router bit, even a router table, guess what? So if you're keeping count, this is actually trip number 3. Here I am ripping the pine boards I got for the rails and stiles, which was way cheaper than oak. I chose to rip them to 2¼ inch wide. I chose to use my Craig jig and use a tongue and groove style to attach my boards and allow the 1/4 inch panel to fit properly. You will see here a gap that was formed because I initially tried to get away with just using the Craig jig and routing out the slot for the panel. I believe this still could work if you don't mind the gap, or you could add some wood putty to fill the void. However, I decided to router out the tongue portion instead to get a nice fit and not have to rely as much on filler. So after you get all the pieces ready to go and you're putting the panels together, I recommend dry fitting everything first. and remeasuring the width and height of the door to make sure, before you glue everything together, that it's the right size you're hoping for. Measuring can get confusing if you don't have a good process. Well, after 4 full weekends, we finally have the cabinet doors installed with the hardware. The pros of this project? Well, it was pretty cost effective actually. The total cost for me was about $855.65. Now this total does not include buying some tools that I didn't have already, like the router table, tongue and groove router bit, or a couple longer clamps. So depending on what you already have available, this will obviously change the total cost. And a great pro is my wife liked them. She's happy, and I appreciate that. And I want to bless my wife as best I can. Some of the challenges, a reminder is to measure, remeasure, and dry fit each door to match. Even though the math may add up, the fit is not always as exact when it comes to woodworking and renovations in general. Another challenge was the stain and finding a stain to match, especially when trying to match on an old surface. We stained multiple pieces of wood, both oak and pine, to try to find a closest match as possible. And even after testing, there are differences in the stain color. And again, be ready for your project to take longer and cost more than you probably originally expected. We did, in this project, hit our goal to be under $1,000, which is awesome. And honestly, we saved thousands of dollars when compared to either buying new custom doors that someone else has made that you still need to refinish, or if we went all in and bought all new cabinets. I was getting estimates of around that $15,000 to even up to $30,000 if we went all in for cabinets. At the end of the day, I am very pleased with how this renovation project ended up. The doors, in my opinion, are imperfectly perfect. What I love and want to encourage you with is to dive in, give it a shot, learn and live with a purpose, one step at a time. And honestly, even though this project took longer than expected and there were unexpected challenges along the way, it was totally worth it. I got to work on a skill, work with my family, work through my impatience and frustrations at times. But the truth is, this is exactly how we're building into our bigger picture dreams. We're not waiting on winning the lottery. There's no overnight transformation. It's just steady progress, one step at a time, living life with purpose. I hope you were able to glean a few little helpful nuggets throughout that video. And if you're like me, I know projects like these can feel like they're never ending. There's always projects that are coming down the line. The list continues to grow, life continues to happen, and we continue to adjust. But what I'm really excited about sharing with you is that I've been working on a workbook, a project planning workbook that doesn't just help you align these little tasks and come up with a good plan. But what I love about this workbook is that it helps you think through the big picture, what really matters in life, and then filter through from that perspective to get to those little tasks, those little steps that help you get to those big goals, the big plans, the big picture projects. If you're interested in your own copy of my Measured Ground Project Planning Workbook, please follow the link in the description below.